Hello, welcome to Math with Mr. Dobrescu, to the rescue. Today we are going to do an SBAC test review, and we are going to call this part 1. Part 1. Okay? And let's take a look at some of the problems you may see on the state test coming up, and please pay attention. Let's look at the first problem here. Use the diagram below, this triangle, the diagram, to answer the question. And the question is, what is the value of x? What is x in this problem? Okay? And we know a very important fact. And the fact is, all the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So all the angles, this angle plus this angle plus this angle, is going to equal 180 degrees. Let's add them up. So this angle up here is x plus 15. So we have x plus 15 plus this angle down here is 25 plus 25 plus 35. And everything should equal 180 degrees. Please remember this important fact. And now we are going to combine the like terms, and now we need to know how to solve this equation, this multi-step equation, which has like terms, and in this case we need to combine 15 plus 25 plus 35 first, and then see what we get. 15 plus 25 we get 40, and then 40 plus 35 we get 75. So here we have x plus 75 equals 180. And finally, we need to subtract 75 on both sides. So let's subtract 75 on both sides in order for us to isolate the x on that side of the equation. And so for x, 75 minus 75 cancel each other out. So we get x equals 180 minus 75. Make this a 7, make this a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 7 minus 7 is 0 and 1. So it's 105 degrees. So x actually equals 105. That's the value of x. And then if you want to find the value of that angle up there, we need to add 105 plus 15. So 105 plus 15, right? 5 plus 5, 10. 0 carry the 1, 1 plus 1, 2, 120. So the entire angle here is 120 degrees. And now let's check it out. If we add 120 plus 25 and plus 35, it adds up back to 180 degrees. And then we know that we got the right answer. Please remember this type of problem because you may encounter this type of problem on the state test. And please remember again that all the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Let's take a look at another problem you may see on a test. In this case, we need to solve this equation, and again, we need to find the value of x, but this type of equation is called a complex equation because we have some fractions, and also we have variables on both sides, and let's see what we have. First of all, let's write down some steps. Step number 1 would be to bring all the variables to one side of the equation by adding 3x on both sides. So let's add 3x on both sides in order for us to bring all the variables to this side of the equation. Because negative 3x plus 3x now cancel each other out. And we have here 2x plus 3x becomes 5x minus 2 and 1 over 3 equals 2 over 3. And now let's see what we get. Step number 1, we added 3x on both sides. And now step number 2, we need to add 2 and 1/3 on both sides in order for us to eventually isolate x on this side of the equation and solve for x. So let's add 2 and 1 over 3 on both sides. If we add 2 and 1 over 3 on both sides, we know that this is going to cancel out. Now we are left over with 5x equals, and let's combine 2/3 plus 2 and 1 over 3. And remember, when we do that, we need to change this improper fraction, okay? This improper fraction, we need to make it into a fraction, right? So by multiplying 2 times 3 and adding the 1, and that becomes, so we have 2 over 3 plus 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7 over 3, and let's see what we get. And because now we have the same denominator, we just have to add 2 plus 7, which is 9, divided by 3. And 9 divided by 3, everyone should know that is 3. So this equals 3. So 5x actually equals 3. And now we have one-step equation. And last step of the problem is we need to divide both sides by 5 in order for us to solve for x and get the x by itself. And if we do that, 5 divided by 5 becomes a big one, 1x. So x equals just 3 over 5. Final answer. Make sure you know how to solve this type of problems when we see this type of problem on a test. Write your steps if you want to do that by the side of the problem, and then step by step get to the answer and solve for x. Let's take a look at another problem you may see on the test. In this case, we have a coordinate graph, and it says here, use the points on the coordinate plane below to answer the question. And the question is, what is the distance between F and G? So our question is, we need to find the distance between F and G. That distance. What do we do in order for us to find the distance between F and G if we have a coordinate plane and the points are found in the coordinate plane? First of all, to find the distance, there is a very important formula you need to memorize and remember, and that formula is called the distance formula. Distance formula is this. The distance equals square root of x2 minus x1 in a parenthesis squared plus y2 minus y1 in a parenthesis squared. Please remember that. And now in order for us to get the distance and know and find the answer, we need to find the location of these 2 points. So first of all, the first location of F, remember x is -5 and y is -2. Okay, so -5, it's our x1, and -2 is going to be our y1. Okay, we found the location of F, and now let's find the location of J. For J, the x is 7, and y is -7. Okay, make sure you have first identified the location of F and J, and the 7 is going to be now x2, and -7 is going to be now y2. And let's continue with our distance formula, and let's see what we have. Okay? Because now we have all the points. We have x1, y1, x2, y2, x1, y1, x2, y2. Let's plug it in and get the answer. So now let's see, x2 is +7 minus x1 is -5. So pay attention very careful here because we have another negative here. And then it's going to be squared. Plus y2 is -7 minus, and y1 is -2. Very, very careful because we have 2 negatives there, and then it is squared. And now we know something very, very important. We know that 2 negatives next to each other become a positive. That's right. So these 2 negatives are going to become positive, and these 2 negatives are going to become positive. And let's find out what we get now. So the distance equals square root of 7 plus 5. Remember, we solved the parentheses first, which is 12, and that becomes 12 squared plus -2 plus 2, -7 actually plus 2 becomes -5, and we need to square that out also. And let's see what we get in order for us to get the answer and find the distance between F and J. Remember, 12 squared becomes 144. 144 plus -5 squared is -5 times -5, and negative times a negative becomes a positive, and 5 times 5, 25, so plus 25. And let's continue to get our answer. D equals 144 plus 25 actually is 169. So 169. And now square root of 169, if you remember that, two numbers multiplied together will give us 169, and that is 13. So the distance equals 13, because 169 equals 13 times 13. So 169 equals 13 times 13. Pay attention and really make sure you understand this type of problem. Again, to find the distance between 2 points, we need to use the distance formula. And let's take a look at another problem for part 1, which represents the solution to this. We have 3x plus 2 less than negative 4. In this case, here we have a inequality. We need to solve a inequality for x. And remember, I told you in a previous video that equations and inequalities are like brothers and sisters, because we are going to use the same steps until the end to find out what is the answer. The only difference is at the end we need to grab this, and this is a inequality sign, not the equal sign. But for now, let's use the same steps. We need to isolate the x to this side of the inequality by first subtracting 2 on both sides. So let's subtract 2 on both sides of the inequality. Let's see what we get. If we subtract 2 on both sides, positive 2 and negative 2 cancel each other out. So we get 3x less than negative 4 combined with negative 2 becomes negative 6. Make sure you really pay attention and you get to this step by negative 4 plus negative 2 become negative 6. And finally, in order for us to get the x by itself, we got to divide both sides by 3. So let's divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 becomes a big one, x, less than, and negative 6 divided by 3 becomes negative 2. And this is our final answer. But we are still not done, because actually we are done because they are only asking us to find what represents the solution. But if they are going to ask you to also grab that solution, so on the number line, let's pretend this is our number line. We have 0, we have some positive numbers. Okay, we have some negative numbers, negative 1, negative 2, and negative 3. And on this number line, we go actually to negative 2 right there, and it's open because this is only less than, which means negative 2 is not included in the answer, but all the numbers less than negative 2 all the way to negative infinity are going to be the answer. So we are going to the left following this arrow, right? We go to the left, and that is the answer graph on the number line. Thank you all so much for watching, and please make sure you review how to solve these type of problems and to prepare for the SBAC testing, and make sure you are going to do really well on that test. Thank you so much for watching, and again, stay tuned for part 2. Take care.